Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back. So I figure it's time for another stock portfolio review video. I know these are popular and people like to see how much money I'm losing. So I'm not like one of those YouTubers who hide their losses, right? Like you see a lot of YouTubers who, does all these portfolio reveal videos when the stock market is at all-time highs, and then you don't hear about them when the stock market crashes, right? Well, that's not me. So if I lose money, I lose money, right? And I'm going to show you exactly how much money I'm down. And I do think that these stocks will bounce back, right? So, yeah, if I didn't think so, I wouldn't still be invested. I'll just take my losses and go, right? So, just because I know everyone's probably down in the stock market right now, unless you shorted the market, right? But for all of us longs, I think if you're down in the market, you're probably feeling down, like emotionally, right? But I'm saying don't, because like kind of everyone's down, and like this is just the way that bear markets work, right? So anyways, without further ado, let me just jump into it. I'm gonna start with the total. So the total like combined values and the macro statistics of my portfolio. So trailing 12 month return, I'm down 38%. So yeah, not very good, but I've had years when I was up more, like way more than that, right? I've had years when I was more like when I was up more than like almost 100%. The combined total is around 57,900 Canadian, which works out to be just shy of 45,000 US dollars in this account. And this is my main RBC account, and guys, in case you guys are wondering, I remember this portfolio used to be over 100k Canadian at its highest point. Man, those days were good, right? I should have taken some more profits back then, but it is what it is. I always start off with the smallest position, work my way up to the biggest position by market value. So let's begin. The first stock on my list in this portfolio, the smallest position is right now is Block, or formerly known as Square. So in case you guys don't know what Square is a payments company, and they do payments technology, and their founder, Jack Dorsey, was also the founder of Twitter. He no longer works at Twitter. And he just went off to Block to work at Block full time, and he renamed it to Block because it was called Square before, but he renamed it to Block because he's doing some stuff with blockchain technology, specifically with Bitcoin, because he's a Bitcoin maximalist. So he's doing like a bunch of Bitcoin stuff on his at his company, so he renamed it to Block. So I think that there's a lot of exciting stuff going on at Block. He's doing this like, he's making a hardware wallet, I think, last time I checked, like a hardware wallet that's, I think maybe it's going to be like multi-sig, or it's going to be some ways better than what we have now for like Ledger and Trezor. Maybe it's like simpler to use. I don't really know. We'll have to see when it comes out. But yeah, he's also making like at home Bitcoin miner. So Bitcoin mining is like really for professionals right now, because the machines are expensive and they're really loud and really power hungry, so it's not really suited for you to plug into a regular outlet at home, right? So he's finding, like, Jack Dorsey's like trying to research a way to make it simpler. So I think all in all, a lot of exciting stuff going on at Block right now. The stock is down like 30% from where I bought it, just because the macro environment is not good and big tech has just been being down. But long term, I still think that this is like a tremendous company with tremendous potential. So yeah, it's not a very big position, but I'm just gonna hold on to my shares, and I think long term is gonna be up way more than 30%. Now it's down 30%, right? In the future, it's gonna be up like more than that. I'm gonna make my money back, and I'm gonna make a lot more. So that's Block. Next up, we have PayPal, and that's kind of like along the similar lines as Block. I kind of see PayPal as like a little bit safer than Block, because Block is a little bit more speculative, versus PayPal. They already have an established footing in the traditional finance realm. So they have like they do payments technology, and they do a lot of stuff with Bitcoin and with crypto as well. So I think that PayPal is it's also a tremendous value that has come down quite a bit. It's also down 30%. But yeah, as I said, it's kind of like a similar play to Block, where long term I think there's massive amounts of money in terms of like payments technology and blockchain technology and all that stuff. But yeah, as of now, it's not doing well. But it is what it is. So next up, we have Hylion, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Hylion. So this is one of my worst performing stocks of all time, I gotta say. Yeah, when I first invested in it, it was kind of a speculative bet to begin with, to be honest. I think that the company had great potential, and I still think that they do have great potential. But, for a company that's not really making any money, and it's like, the technology itself is unproven, there's just no appetite for these kind of stocks in the stock market right now, right? And if I was investing in like if I started investing in like a market environment like we're in right now, like a bear market, I wouldn't even consider a company like Hylion. But I think back then, I got kind of caught up in the hype a little bit. I should have been a little bit more prudent, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. Well, I was being greedy when others are greedy. So that was kind of like my mistake. I probably shouldn't have gone like as deep into it as I did, but you learn your lessons, right? So as I said, this one, I still think that there is great potential, though. They just have to prove themselves, and this stock, I think I'm holding to 0, right? Like if this idea doesn't work, and a lot of great ideas don't work, and if it doesn't work, then it's fine, right? Like I've already accepted the way that things are. So if it doesn't work and the stock goes to 0, then I'm already at peace with it, right? But if the technology does work, then I think that it's gonna be a company that captures a significant portion of a very large market, right? So and I've been talking about Hylion the whole time. Not sure if everyone even knows what they do, right? So in case you missed that's fine. They make powertrain solutions for the semi-truck industry. So they build these powertrains that are powered by renewable natural gas, and they're like electric, right? So there's an electric generator on board, and you fuel it with natural gas, and it provides. It can either be a hybrid system where it like hybridizes with a diesel regular engine where it produces extra power, or right now they're actually making like a fully electric powertrain that's still powered by natural gas, right? So it's actually pretty environmentally friendly, even though it's natural gas, because people think, oh, like fossil fuels, as soon as you use a little bit of fossil fuels, it's dirty. Well, no, actually. So natural gas gives off less greenhouse gas emissions and pollutants than other forms of energy like coal, or even just gasoline or diesel, and it's also, you can get natural gas from renewable sources, right? Like because cows produce natural gas, right? You can get it from farms, you can get it from decomposing like garbage piles, right? So you can get natural gas from a lot of places, and if you source it right, it can actually be a negative net carbon impact, meaning that you're taking the natural gas that would have otherwise gone into the atmosphere, you're taking it out of the system. So anyways, that's Hylion. But yeah, as I said, there's no appetite for companies like these who are just like kind of experimental, right? But I think long term they still got potential, and I'm holding it to either profitability or 0, right? So let's just hope they survive this recession that's inevitably going to come because of the Fed actions. But anyways, next up we have AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, and you guys know AMD, right? They make CPUs. They bought a company called I think ATI or something back then, which they integrated into their GPU department, right? So all these like Radeon GPUs, they got that from that purchase like way back in the day. But yeah, they're now like dipping their toes into the GPU space and competing with NVIDIA on that front. So I think AMD is one of the best like semiconductor companies out there. Yeah, and they're led by the CEO Lisa Su, which I think she's one of the best CEOs in Silicon Valley or in the tech space, period, right? Because she brought AMD pretty much back from the dead, right? Back then, AMD, everyone was like, AMD's a joke. The stock was like $2. Nobody cared about AMD. You only bought AMD because you couldn't afford Intel, right? So that was kind of like the narrative back when I was in elementary school or high school. And like maybe I just went to like a nerdy school, but like people would make fun of you if you had like an AMD laptop, right? Because it's just like, well, you couldn't afford Intel or something, right? But like now it's completely different, right? Like now, like people probably, I don't know if people make fun of you if you use Intel, but it's like if you use AMD, people are like, oh wow, like you're like, hip, and it's like you're like, your shit, right? Like that's kind of the narrative, because AMD CPUs have gotten so much better, and they're so much like they give so much more bang for your buck in terms of like just value when you use AMD CPUs. AMD, like they're gonna do well. Their last like few earnings report were all fantastic. I have no concerns about AMD whatsoever. But yeah, right now it's down like 18% just because the general market is not doing well. But I think that again, long term, this is going to be a fantastic long term hold. But yeah, anyways, moving on. Next up, we have MicroStrategy. And you guys all know like my love for Bitcoin, right? Like I'm a huge Bitcoin bull. So I think MicroStrategy is one of the best like leveraged bets on Bitcoin. So if you're bullish on Bitcoin, consider buying MicroStrategy, especially if you're trying to buy it in like an account that doesn't support you actually buying actual Bitcoin, right? Like if you are in the United States and you don't have Bitcoin spot ETFs, right? Or if you just, want to like buy it in a tax-free account or a tax advantage account and they don't let you buy actual Bitcoin, you can use proxies like Bitcoin mining stocks or MicroStrategy. So MicroStrategy, I think it's like the biggest public company that holds the most amount of Bitcoin out there. And yeah, basically it's like, it's just Bitcoin, right? But it's led by its eccentric founder and huge Bitcoin preacher, Michael Saylor. So I think, yeah, I just want to be involved in Bitcoin. I think holding MicroStrategy is a great way to do so. So Bitcoin has obviously not been doing well for the past few months, which is why this stock is down almost 50% for me, even though I have been averaging down on it a little bit. But again, it is what it is, right? I do believe that Bitcoin will bounce back. And when it bounces back, you can expect MicroStrategy to actually go up more, because they like did all these like financial jujitsu, as people call it, right? So they like borrow money against their Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin, and they can like also borrow money uncollateralized, but at like lower interest rates than what you can get if you try to ask for a personal loan or try to go on margin, all that stuff. So instead of going on margin, which is super risky, especially if you're trying to go on margin to go into crypto, consider just getting MicroStrategy. Like they can do a lot better job of like doing the leverage than you, right? So unless you're like a professional trader or like a big institution or hedge fund manager or anything, I don't know if I have any hedge fund managers watching this video right now, but whatever. Next up, we have Coinbase. So this one is a little bit controversial because I know like people have mixed views around Coinbase. Some people are like, oh, screw Coinbase. They have bad customer service. They have like, their NFT marketplace was not good. And like, granted, that was like a big disappointment, right? I'm pretty disappointed in the NFT market space. That was kind of a flop. GameStop did actually a much better job at launching a NFT marketplace at Coinbase. But aside from that, the company's not going to live or die on the success of like the NFT marketplace, right? Like Coinbase is doing so much more stuff than just NFTs, right? So they're one of the oldest crypto companies out there, and and they're one of the biggest and most well capitalized, right? They have $6 billion on the balance sheet, and I know that on Twitter and on the crypto like verse and stuff, people are just like throwing FUD everywhere and be like, oh, Coinbase is gonna go bankrupt. And granted, like Voyager and Celsius and all these other companies, they went bankrupt, but Coinbase is not the same as a Voyager or a Celsius. Okay, so first of all, they don't like lend out your coins, right? So that makes it different from Celsius and Voyager, right? And also, they're like a much bigger company than they have more cash like on the balance sheet than what Voyager was worth in total market cap at like their peak. It's not the same thing is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, Coinbase is my second biggest holding in this portfolio, and despite all the negativity surrounding it, I do still really believe in Coinbase. The latest earnings report, they're all gonna suck because crypto has been sucking, but when we hit the next crypto bull market, which we will, when we hit the next crypto bull market, Coinbase, in the last bull market, they were making $1 billion per quarter, right? So, think about what they can make now that the now that the company is bigger and better and they've been building all this time. When the next bull market comes, if they were already making $1 billion a quarter, think about the profits like in the next bull market, right? So yeah, right now, like everyone's gonna forget about it, but I think that Coinbase, like Microstrategy, is also a leveraged bet on the crypto space as a whole. So it's kind of like also, it's not just a Bitcoin proxy, is also an Ethereum proxy, is also a Cardano proxy, is also a Solana proxy. I think all of those are listed on Coinbase, right? Unless the SEC makes them delist them, but let's not talk about that. But anyways, yeah, Coinbase, one of my highest conviction stock. I still believe in them. I still think it's a great company. Despite all the negative news, I think they're going to survive this crypto winter, and I think that they are going to hit all-time highs once again. Moving on, lastly, I have Tesla. Right, so this comes as a shock to absolutely no one if you've been watching this channel for even a short amount of time. Tesla, I increased my position slightly. I had like 35 before. I added 5 shares. Now I have 40. And yeah, this is like my biggest holding, and it has been my biggest holding in my portfolio for the past, I want to say like 3 years or so. If you just read the latest earnings reports, this is a company that is still firing on all cylinders, excuse the pun, because they don't make cars with cylinders, but well, whatever, right? So you know what I mean, right? This is like a company that is just going like ham on just everything. The building factories and ramping up factories and pushing out new products, and the demand is so high for their products. Even despite an oncoming recession, the demand is still so high for their products that they can't make enough to keep up with the demand, and there's order backlogs everywhere despite them ramping up production. So yeah, I have no concerns about Tesla whatsoever, and my only concerns about Tesla are what is related to like the general recession or the stock market as a whole, right? So if the macroeconomic environment is good, then Tesla will do well, and if the macroeconomic environment is not so good, then Tesla will do okay, right? So until something changes, until I hear some like major negative news surrounding Tesla, I think that this is going to be like, it's going to continue to go up in the long term. That's it for my portfolio reveal. I hope you all enjoy the video, and it was painful for me to show you all these losses, by the way. So even though they're unrealized, it's still painful, right? So please be sure to give me a like for this video, just showing you my pain and showing you where some things have gone wrong, right? So, and just appreciation for my transparency. How about that? As a token of return, I only ask for the like. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you like this series. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Links down below in the description, as always. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Couldn't really snap because I had the pencil in my hand, but here you go.